Hello and welcome to this fantastic new state-of-the-art multifunctional moot court. I'm Brian Horrigan and it's my privilege to be the Dean of the Faculty of Law here at Monash University.
I think this would be a wonderful courtroom to conduct a case.
It's a bit eerie for me to be back here. It's as close to the bench as I'm ever going to get, but it's a fabulous facility.
In this magnificent moot court, you've probably got the best one in the country.
So where we are now was a very different space when I was at university at Monash Law. This was a lecture theatre. It was the main lecture theatre. I think it was L3. And this is where I had most of my lectures. I remember I had crim law, which was probably my favourite law subject when I was an undergrad, and it was with Professor Louis Waller.
The faculty really set exemplary goals for this project from day one. They wanted this to be an outstanding courthouse, potentially the best courtroom in the country. We were acutely mindful of making a courthouse that really spoke to the gravitas of law and the legal process. And it was important for us that we could create a space within this historic 1960s building that also drew in the elements, the very strong elements of that 1960s building.
It was a real challenge because it was something that we'd never done before at the university, but also had never been done as far as we could find in the world. And the goal here was to develop something that was at cutting edge and that was going to lead the world and demonstrate what the next generation of courts could look like. And when we went around the world, we couldn't find anything that was really at this sort of level, so we had to develop it from scratch.
The project was a challenge and an opportunity because it integrated the most cutting-edge and state-of-the-art audiovisual technology that was available at the time. In fact, in some instances, it was going beyond what had been previously achieved.
The audiovisual was a key part of the design and it had to be integrated. It wasn't just an extra thing added on, so everything we worked through, things like loudspeakers that are for every user in the court, the lawyers and the witness and the judges, so that they can clearly hear what other people are saying, were designed to work effectively but also be invisible, so they're built into the tables.
Well, your moot court at Monash Law School is one of the finest in Australia, and it's inspirational to be participating in advocacy in such an environment. And it is authentic. It has the feel of a court. And I understand there have been sittings of Victorian courts in the Monash moot court.
The moot court's been used for many different things. My favourite use has been for a real court case by the Victorian Court of Appeals. Now that means that we've not just built a court that can be used for mooting, but it can be used for real courts.
So it's been used in a moot court mode and in a real court mode. It can be used in public lecture mode. So the dispatch box that you can see behind me can be turned around when we have a very important visitor who can give a public lecture to the public gallery and to the two breakout rooms next door, and we can record it for posterity. So moot court mode, normal court mode, public lecture mode. The bar table can be used as a meeting room, so we have held university meetings and faculty meetings around the bar table. Some of our tutorials and seminars can use the bar table to have a meeting of the tutor or the lecturer with the students.
When I first walked in this courtroom, would have been early 2023 for the first delivery of our training here at Monash University, and I was really blown away by the amount of technology in the room, the large space that it offered as well, and just could really see it as an opportunity to provide the training that our participants needed and to develop their advocacy skills within the CAPS Learning program.
The moot court is really sophisticated in the way that it can communicate to other people and can connect to other people. So we've got a video conferencing system that allows us to connect to other video conferencing systems, which are standard across the world, Cisco, Polycom, etc. But it also can connect via Zoom. So whether it's just an individual at home wants to connect in and that's how they want it to work, or it's a judge is going to be remote in an office or sitting in actually another court, all of that can be handled really simply and easily.
So, for example, we can have a clinician and students here in the moot court, and using the 5 available video screens, including a screen behind the Monash University insignia behind me. We have 5 screens where we could have potentially 5 outside audiences discussing matters relevant to a clinical client situation that a number of our clinicians and students are working on.
The way in which we utilise it within the CAPS learning program is we've broken the training session into 2 days. The first being that we utilise it as a classroom setting. It offers a unique ability to do that where we can actually have everyone seated around the bar table and is really conducive to classroom discussions. The facilitator is standing at one end, deliberating to everyone down at the further ends. It also provides a unique opportunity for our staff to experience a courtroom that isn't sitting. We rarely ever have that opportunity in our field, so that then extends into our second day where we transform it into the formal moot court, have a real life practicing magistrate deliberate over all the matters, Corrections and Justice Services involvement in clerking the matter and providing feedback, and really provides a sound structure around that training program.
All stand please and remain standing. All persons before this honourable court are commanded to give their attendance and they shall be heard. Be seated please.
And one of its products is a drink beverage called the Snail Inside.
Fermented snails in a bottle, yes.
That's right.
Does it matter that she did not read the list of ingredients?
Her mortification as a product of those comments led to her depression. That is what we contend today.
Well, Your Honour, the internet is in fact a strange place. It's not really clear to the reasonable person what was meant by that comment, snails extra.
So it's a bit like the twisted lemon with a dry martini.
That is our submission, Your Honour.
Your client was an eccentric woman prepared to take a risk.
Being an eccentric person who's willing to take a risk is one of the hallmarks of the modern technological economy.
Please press on with your mooting. Your performance this evening was excellent.
Probably the strongest characteristic of the original building was the concrete waffle slab ceiling. Straight away, when we walked into the space for the first time, we recognised that this was a wonderful opportunity for the project. It sets the scene for the moot court in that it exists within the foyer as soon as you enter the building. And that ceiling plane carrying through into the moot court is a very strong visual connector and a very strong physical defining characteristics of the space. So we created these lighting ceiling coffers that threw light into the ceilings of the waffle slab to create a beautiful, diffuse and even light through the courtroom.
One of the areas I'm really proud of is the audio. The way we've been able to develop a system and implement a system that allows each of the participants, the judges, the lawyers, the witness, to be able to be heard clearly by each other, but also in the public gallery, and those who are on the video conference call or those listening, and be able to hear themselves clearly and to articulate that, especially in an environment that has a lot of people in it, but also has a lot of acoustic challenges in it. And often in courts, that's not achieved very well, but here we've done that extremely well.
So we used a lot of timber elements with little curved and rounded edges to soften some of the wall planes to create simple repetition and quite a beautiful scalloped detail to the judge's bench. All of this is referencing not only the waffle slab ceiling, but creating a space that is singular in its materiality, crafted and considered, and has a sense of gravitas and strength of persona to it as well.
When I've been thinking about what leads to high outcomes for Monash Law School graduates and why that is, I think there's a whole range of factors. The moot court, state of the art, is access not just for academic reasons and teaching of the students, but is also used in the real world. And that facility has been a great enhancement to the law school.
It's a very realistic experience, first of all. You've got state-of-the-art audio-visual technology, you've got the jury box, you've got a public gallery, as it were, and also enough space for multiple judges. I think for me personally, it's just that sense of excitement that you get when you step in and it really feels like you're in a courtroom. It's immersive, I suppose, in that way. So I've really enjoyed practicing and mooting, in fact, in the courtroom. And it's a real leg up, I suppose, when you are mooting against other universities. I think little details like how you present on the camera really matter, of course, for virtual moots. So I think it's an amazing resource and I'm really looking forward to seeing more students benefit from it in future.
Undoubtedly, the favourite feature is the technology within this courtroom. I've been privy to a fair few courtrooms. Unfortunately, nothing exceeds the technology in this courtroom that we have, and I think my favourite part about that is watching participants' faces light up when they see the TVs elevate out of the bar table, which is something I've never seen before.
It's not just state of the art for moot court, it's a state of the art for a court, full stop. And that it could be used by real courts to run real court cases. And other universities have developed things since we've developed this, but not to this sort of level or sophistication.
All stand, please.
Yes, Mr. Cameron.
This matter involves a contract for the purchase of the sum of 8,000 pairs of the Ants in Pants underpants.
Where do we go from there? Once you've got some intent, where does that lead you to? What's the chain of legal reasoning?
Once we determine intent of the parties, we can then look to the actual implied or expressed terms within the contract.
You say there's a contractual obligation to label them.
Yes, there was a contractual obligation to label them because if they weren't labelled, and as they weren't, they were in breach of the Australian Food Standards Code.
The appellant's position, while at first blush superficially attractive, decays on closer examination.
How do you get round the wording of 5.1a, any substance or thing of a kind capable of being used?
The definitions section of the code can assist us further in determining what is meant by food.
The four of you were all put under some really significant pressure this afternoon, and you handled it really well.
I must say I came onto the Court of Appeal in Victoria in 1995, and we never had a courtroom anything like as good as this one.
And in this magnificent moot court, you've probably got the best one in the country. I think it's a terrific thing to see you being given these opportunities by the law school.
I really liked the public gallery. One of the units that Monash runs is called Mooting and Advocacy, and it's actually run by a prominent silk in Victoria, and during those classes we got to watch our peers moot, and the judges were also peers, and we all just got to sit and observe and see how people advocated. That can really inspire you to examine your own mooting styles and figure out how to refine that.
There is definitely a gravitas about this courtroom. The way in which I see participants walking into this room would give the feeling that they also experience that too. But I think the way in which we have the training program set up of really dispersing those nerves and anxieties in day one goes a long way to assist. It won't completely eliminate nerves, but it definitely goes a long way.
We think the outcome is absolutely fantastic. The building has a presence to it, a gravitas to it, and I think that's so important when really trying to communicate and convey the seriousness and the appropriateness of the built form with the proceedings that are happening within. And essentially it's really critical to remember that this is a learning tool and a teaching tool, so putting students within an environment that is as close to reality as possible is incredibly powerful.
The faculty will forever be grateful to the university for having got behind us in every way that matters, in the design and funding and construction of this moot court.